everyone, so today I am doing, finally, another half and half tutorial. If you've been watching me for a while, you may remember my last one. I think I did it like over a year ago. I'll link it down below. Basically, I do half my face in high-end makeup and then half my face in low-end, drugstore, cheaper alternatives that are dupes. So basically, it's just showing you a bunch of products that are dupes for other high-end products, so you can save yourself some money if you are interested. I'm gonna try and use different stuff to my last one. So I've got my last video up here so I don't use the same stuff, so it's complete different dupes, new dupes. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy this. And by the way, I just Fake tanned my face if you're wondering why it's orange. Now please note that of course some of these products are going to be a little bit different performance wise. Often the high-end stuff on me personally lasts a little bit better, but I will kind of tell you case by case. So my first dupe I have here is the Makeup Forever Step 1 Skin Equalizer, which I really like. It's a smoothing primer, so it kind of fills in any small lines and pores, which I usually hate these kinds of primers, but I really like this one because it's not too thick and it's not too heavy. It's very lightweight. The dupe I have here is the Maybelline Master Prime, which is an amazing primer, and it is the Blur and Smooth formula. So there is a difference in the color. The Maybelline one is clear, whereas the Urban Decay one has a slight tint, but once you put them on, they look more or less the same. They give the same effect underneath your makeup. So I'm just going with high end on this side apparently. I do have to say the Maybelline one is probably better for slightly drier skin because it has a little bit more moisture to it, but it does the same thing. Like the primers both do the exact same thing underneath your foundation. So if you are just looking for a cheaper alternative, the Maybelline one is really good. Dry skin, Maybelline is really good. They work very similarly. Okay, so we're all primed and ready to go. Foundation. This is the part people want to hear about, right? Okay, so for two foundations, I have the Too Faced Born This Way foundation and then the e.l.f. Acne Fighting foundation. I have first impressions of both of these foundations on my channel. I'll link them down below if you're interested in watching. The formula of these on myself are very similar coverage, very similar finish. The bottom one is the Too Faced and then the top one is the e.l.f. Acne Fighting. And you can see the e.l.f. one is a little bit too pink for me. I have the color Buff here and then the Too Faced one is in light beige. So the color is a little bit off, but we're just, you know, doing this for demonstration purposes. So we'll pretend that it's the same color. So I'm just dotting some of this around my face. This is the Too Faced high-end side. By the way, of course, this makeup look is not going to be revolutionary. It's purely like dupes, so don't expect some cool new makeup look. I'm just going to do something simple so you can see the difference. Alright, so that is one layer of the Too Faced and then I'll do one layer of the e.l.f. so you can compare the coverage and everything. I actually really love this e.l.f. foundation. I don't use it enough. So I have no idea at all if you can see the difference. There isn't really much difference at all on the finish of this foundation and the coverage. If anything, the e.l.f. one might be the tiniest amount more coverage. Very small amount. I love both of these foundations. They're both great. So that is the Too Faced. And then this is the e.l.f. Okay, something I haven't cranked out in a very long time. If you've been watching me for ages, you remember this was my holy grail. This is the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in NW20. And then this is the LA Girl Pro Conceal in the shade Natural. And the reason I haven't been using this is because this came into the picture. It is amazing. It's very similar. The formula is very similar. The coverage is similar. The texture is similar. They don't crease. Neither of them crease on me. So they look so similar. So this is the MAC. I'll just slap some on so you can kind of see how they blend out together. And then this is the Pro Conceal, which I hate the packaging. I hate this little brush tip, but it's so affordable. I'm kind of just like, whatever. So they're both super smooth when you blend. If I can kind of show you. I've actually used a little bit too much of the LA Girl Pro Conceal, so it looks a little bit thicker, but it's really not. That was my own fault. The MAC one is still 100% an amazing product. It's just the fact that if I can spend a fraction of the price on a product that's just as good, if not better, then I will. You can probably see that just looking at it, it looks very similar, and you'll just have to take my word for it. On myself anyway, it wears basically the exact same throughout the day. Yellow powder. Good old yellow powder under the eyes to set your concealer. This here is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Contour Kit. Amazing kit. I love it so much. As you can see, it's well used. But my dupe is the NYX Contour Palette, which I love so much. This is amazing. So If I just hold them up next to each other, you can see how similar the colours are. So I'm going to be using that yellow colour underneath my eyes just to set the concealer and brighten up the area when I find a clean brush. Alright, so this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills side. Just use a little bit under those eyes and on the eyelid just to set the concealer in place and prevent it from creasing. And then the NYX one, which is a fraction of the price. The only difference is I think the NYX one might be a little bit more powdery, but if you just use a setting spray at the end, you can't even tell the difference. They basically look the same, they work the same. For face powders, I don't know if these are like total dupes, but when they're on my face, they look the exact same, they work the same way for me. So this here is the Bourjois Healthy Balance powder. This is what the packaging looks like, and it's in the shade 53 Beige. Then this is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Powder in number 2 Medium. So this is the Charlotte Tilbury powder. Love this powder, beautiful coverage, beautiful finish. It really does look flawless. And then this is the Bourjois side on the other side. Very, very, very similar finish. Very, very similar coverage. I probably still like the Charlotte Tilbury one a little bit more, but for the price difference, like Charlotte Tilbury is so expensive. Both sides of my face look equally flawless. Alright, for the high-end side, I have my Dirty Blonde MAC Fluidline, and then the MAC Pro Longwear Waterproof Brow Set for the mascara side, brow mascara. And then for the Drugstore brands, I'm using NYX Blonde, what's this called? Eyebrow Gel. So it's like that. And then on top, my Loreal Brow Plumper. So even though the NYX is in a squeezy tube, I need to put a little bit on my hand to use. The formula is so similar to something like this anyway. It's a very thick, creamy, moussey formula. So they apply basically the exact same. So this is the NYX on the Drugstore side. By the way, I've been using Revita Brow, so if my eyebrows look quite thick, that's why. It's really helped my natural brows become a lot thicker, so I don't really need to fill them in too much these days. The colour of these products is a little bit different. The MAC is a little bit warmer, which I tend to prefer. Some people say they look really orange, but in real life they look really good. The warm tones kind of complement my hair colour a little bit better. I don't really like cool toned eyebrows on myself, but I know a lot of different blondes like cool. Some people like warm, some people like cool. So keep that in mind when you are selecting a colour for your eyebrows. And then for the MAC, I do prefer the MAC because it's a little bit easier to use because you don't have to squirt it out or anything. And I just prefer the colour as well, as I said. So you can see the difference in colour. And then high-end MAC, this is the brow set, waterproof brow set, which I used to live and breathe. Both of these products are very similar, the MAC and then the L'Oreal Brow Plumper, but the L'Oreal one I prefer. It's got little like fibers in it or something which make your eyebrows look thicker, and I just love, I don't know, I just love how it works. For eye primer, I don't have any Drugstore ones at the moment, but the e.l.f. one is fabulous. They're really good primers. They work just as well as this, which is the Smashbox Photo Finish Lid Primer. I just love this one. I don't know what it is. It's just like a mixture of the colour, the coverage, the applicator. I just like it a lot, so this is what I've been using. So I'm using an affordable palette. This is the matte palette by Chi Chi. Chi Chi palettes are incredible. They're probably one of my favorite affordable brands of eyeshadows. So that's what the matte palette looks like. And I am going to be using this as a dupe palette to a few different MAC and Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadows I have. So the first shade I'm going to be taking is this color here. It's like a really warm kind of peachy color. And the dupe to that is Orange Soda by Anastasia Beverly Hills. They're very similar. Orange Soda is like one shade darker, but they look very similar when they're swatched. So I'm just going to use the Chi Chi one first, and I'm just going to pop this in the crease. So these colors are very handy just to warm up a makeup look and to create like a transition shade for other colors, especially when you're working with dark eyeshadows like I am today. Just make everything blend nicer. And then just for the sake of this, I'll use a cleaner brush to do the other side. So this is again Orange Soda by Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is more of a high-end brand. So you can see that the Anastasia one is just like a shade darker, maybe a little tiny bit more vibrant. Next up, I am taking this kind of taupe color right here. And the dupe I have found is Warm Taupe by Anastasia Beverly Hills. So these colors are again very similar. Again, Warm Taupe by Anastasia Beverly Hills might be like the slightest amount darker, but very similar colors. So I'm just going on the high end side with the Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I'm just popping that in the crease again and just building up that color. So I'm giving myself a little bit more depth. And then the Chi Chi side here. Chi Chi eyeshadows are amazing. but Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadows are also a favorite of mine. If you have the budget, I do recommend trying out some Anastasia ones. I'd say they're just the tiniest amount more pigmented, but Chi ones are still incredible. They're super easy to blend. They are still very pigmented. I think the Anastasia ones are just like one step further, which they should be considering they cost more. Also, in saying that, I think Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes are really good value for money. I think these run for about $12 US each, whereas a Chi palette, I can't remember off the top of my head, I think around like $20 or so. I don't know, I'll put some links and stuff down below so you can check it out. This is such an awkward angle, but that's how those two colours kind of compare to each other. In real life, they look even more similar than on camera, to be honest, as well. Next up, let's go for a deep kind of purpley brown colour. So this is MAC Embark compared to the Chi version. The Chi version is almost identical, maybe a little bit warmer. So this is the MAC colour, and I'll just show you the pigmentation so you can see. So MAC, you know, it's decent pigmentation. I really like MAC eyeshadows. I do think there's better out there these days. Like, I probably prefer Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I probably prefer Makeup Geek. So I'm just popping that all over the lid, and then we will blend this out in a moment. And then the Chi colour, which is this one. This one's actually more pigmented than the MAC, as you can probably tell. It does, however, give you a little bit more fallout, so keep that in mind. So in my opinion, the Chi one is better than MAC. And I'm just using a blendy brush just to blend that colour, blend it into the crease. I'm not using any extra eyeshadow or anything. The Chi one is also a lot easier to blend. I don't know if you can tell. And if you ever get any fallout, just take a brush and just flick it. Don't use much pressure. Just literally like brush the very tip of the bristles across your face, and that should wipe off most of it. I'm actually just going to take a little bit of that same colour on each side and just run that underneath my eyes because I want to go for a smoky look, I think. And then the last one I have here is Anastasia Beverly Hills Rich Brown, which is a dupe for this colour just here. So with the Anastasia Beverly Hills, I'm just taking it on a little pencil brush, and I'm just going to put a little bit on that outer corner, and also just underneath the outer lower lash line, just like that. And again, I will just apply both sides before blending. So this is the Chi pencil brush. Just a little bit on that lower lash line and outer V. This is going to be so hard for you guys to tell because I'm kind of layering colours right now, but they're very similar. Basically the same kind of colour. Both are incredibly pigmented. The Chi one is super pigmented. And I'm just using a little blender brush to blend these colours. On the inner corner is probably my favourite dupe. So these are both super shimmery products. I've talked about these a ton before, but if you're new to my channel, basically this is the Rose Gold Makeup Revolution Metal Eyeshadow. This is Stila Kitten Magnificent Metal Eyeshadow. The Kitten one is a little bit more chunky. I actually prefer the cheaper one. This is ridiculously affordable and it's a lot smoother and less chunky. Both are beautiful though. Okay, so this is the Makeup Revolution one. I'm just taking a little synthetic brush and I'm just going to pop that right on that inner corner. I'm kind of bringing it along the lower lash line a little bit too. I've just wiped off that brush so it's clean. And then this is the Stila version, which you can see is a little bit chunkier. The Stila one also dries out a lot faster as well. So that is basically spot on. You can see the colour is identical, the finish is basically the same, but as I said, the Makeup Revolution is a lot smoother to apply, so that is a bonus. That's why I like the Makeup Revolution one more. So much cheaper too, because the Stila one is so overpriced. Beautiful product though, I have a ton of these, but these ones honestly, so much better. Nude eyeliner. Okay, so these are two of my favorites. This one is the Balm, which is pricier than this version, which is the Rimmel Exaggerate Waterproof Eye Definer. The Balm one is called Brian. And then this one by Rimmel is called In the Nude. This is the Rimmel side. And then the Balm side. I would say the pigmentation in these is roughly the same. Love both of them. They're both amazing. And then liquid eyeliner, I love both of these as well. This is the Balm Schwing, and this one is NYX Matte Liner. And both of these dry matte, which I really like. So they kind of dry and look like a gel, except they're in a liquid eyeliner form. And this is what both of the brushes look like. This one here is the Balm, and then this one here is NYX. So the next one is a little bit more of like a brush tip, whereas the Balm one is more of like a foam brush, if that makes sense. So I'm just doing a very little like flick thin eyeliner look today because I don't feel like doing anything too dramatic. Just enough for you guys to see the similar finish of these. So they both dry the same, they're both super opaque, they're both really easy to apply. I love them both. Mascara, this is a really good dupe. So I have the They're Real by Benefit, which is one of the world's best-selling mascaras, one of it's like a cult favorite. This is just like a limited edition packaging, I think. And then my dupe is the Collection Cosmetics, which you get at Countdown. This is the Does It All 5-in-1 mascara. If you look at the brushes, they're very, very similar. They're both like the same kind of style, and they've got that kind of little funny tip, which is really good to get into the small lashes and the inner corners and things. So let's see how they look side by side. So that is just one coat of both. Hopefully you can see what they look like next to each other. They are incredibly similar. And then I'm going to use some falsies because I want to. I don't really have dupes. So these ones here are XO Beauty The Wanderlust. They are from the Dramatic set, which I've chucked out the packaging. So that's what they look like there. Okay, so the eyes are done. As you can see, they more or less look the exact same, right? At least I think so. So for the face, of course, I could just use this dupe here, which I already showed you under my eyes. The colors are so similar, but I think I might show you something different just to get an extra dupe in the video. This dupe is already pretty well known, but I'll show you anyway, just in case you haven't seen it. So this is Laguna by NARS, which used to be my holy grail bronzer. I still love it. I just used it so solidly for so long that I kind of decided to try something else. And then this is the e.l.f. Contouring Blush and Bronzer. I don't know which one this is. It doesn't really say on the back, but it's meant to be a dupe for Orgasm Blush by NARS and Laguna Bronzer. The e.l.f. one is just a tiny bit darker, and the shimmers in it are a little bit more noticeable than in Laguna. In Laguna, they don't really come off on your face, but the e.l.f. ones are a little bit more noticeable, but still very, very similar products. So this is the e.l.f. side. So I'm kind of contouring with it. It's not exactly the perfect kind of contour color, but it doesn't look terrible on me, to be honest, when I contour with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that and then bronze up my cheeks and temples and stuff. It's a very, very, very pigmented powder. Really good quality. Probably a little bit more powdery looking in the NARS, but again, if you use a setting spray, that'll help to take away a bit of that powdery finish. And then taking a clean brush into my Laguna by NARS. Again, it's not the most ideal thing to contour with. I used it to contour with for years and it looks good, I reckon. It's just not going to look as natural as a more kind of ashy tone product. That's how they both look. Very, very, very similar colours. e.l.f. one is almost prettier now that I look at it. Okay, so for blush, these two don't look too similar when you just look at them. This is Tom Ford's Blush in Flush, and then this one here is NYX Apricot. So the Tom Ford one is the top one and the NYX one is the bottom one. So you can see they're very similar, but the Tom Ford one is a shade darker. Of course, you're never going to be applying this blush this heavily. So by the time you apply a sheer wash of color, which is what I'm going to do, they look so, so similar once they're on your cheeks. And to me, the finish basically looks identical as well. So I'm going to go ahead and apply these. And again, I will use different brushes so we don't cross over the color. So when I use this, I literally like tap off so much. This is the Tom Ford. Now Tom Ford is ridiculously pricey too. So this is a good dupe for those of you who want to save a lot of money. And then a clean brush. If I am completely honest, I actually prefer the NYX color. I love the Tom Ford, I love it, but the NYX one applies a little bit smoother, which is kind of weird. So that is the NYX side, and then that is the Tom Ford side. As you can see, once they're on, they are very, very, very similar. Now, highlighter, which is basically my favorite makeup product at the moment. So I'm showing you a dupe for the limited edition Laura Mercier Indiscretion powder. So basically it's a highlighter. This is so popular. It came out ages ago and then they re-released it, and it's just one of those products that people just absolutely love. So I've got this, and then the dupe is the Maybelline Master Highlight by Face Studio. This is in the shade Light Bronze. So the top one is Indiscretion by Laura Mercier, the bottom one is the Maybelline. So the Maybelline one's just a little bit less bronze, but it kind of also depends where you target your brush. More or less they are very, very similar. So I'm using two of the same brush. This one is clean, it's just stained. So I'll go in with Indiscretion first. I'll put a little bit just up on that brow bone as well. And then I'm just taking some of this. Okay, so hopefully you can see how similar they look. I'm actually just going to take a little bit of the Maybelline one and just put it on the tip of my nose. And then the final step here is lips. So I'm just going to go nude, I guess, because I think nude will look really nice with this whole look. It's a really like clubbing look, I reckon. It's really glamorous and sultry. I'm just going to do my favourite lip colour of the moment because loads of you have seen me raving, hold on, the lighting's bad. You've seen me raving about the Urban Decay one, and then this is Colourpop and it's $5, way cheaper. So I'm just going to do half and half. By the way, this is called Stark Naked by Urban Decay. And then Skimpy by Colourpop, which looks very similar. The only difference is Skimpy is probably a little bit warmer than the Urban Decay colour, but they look relatively the same. Okay, so I found pigmented lip glosses to go on top. You can kind of see that the whole point of these was to kind of copy the Too Faced Melted, I'm guessing. So this is Too Faced Melted in Melted Sugar, which I love these. I've done a lip swatch video in the past. I'll link it down below as well. And then this is the LA Girl Glazed Lip Paint in the shade Whisper. The difference though, I feel like the Melted is a little bit more matte. These have a really strong kind of peppermint scent, which I actually really like. I prefer the applicator to the melted one, so which one is it? The top one is the Melted and the bottom one is LA Girl. The colour is a little bit different. The Melted is a little bit more pinky peachy and the LA Girl is a little bit more muted and nude, but they are very, very similar. They're not identical. So I'm just using a tiny bit. And then this applicator is just like a little squeezy tube, so you would definitely be better off using a brush if you want precision. Once they're on, the colours look quite similar. It's mostly just the finish that is different. The LA Girl is definitely shinier. I love both products. They are kind of different, so I guess it just depends on your personal preference. And hopefully you can see that the finished look on both sides is quite similar. So this is the high-end side. Probably should have concealed that blemish. And then here is the drugstore or more affordable kind of alternative side. Here's a little close-up of my face as well, so you can kind of see like the texture of my skin and the texture of the actual products. So there we have it. I love both high-end and drugstore products. The main difference usually is kind of more the wear throughout the day. So I'm daily vlogging at the moment. If you want to check out what my makeup looks like at the end of the day, go check out my daily vlog I filmed on the day of me doing this video. It's a bit confusing. I'll put the link down below, and if you don't want to watch the whole video, you can just fast forward to the end of the video and see what my makeup looks like. But as you can see, it looks pretty damn similar, right? Hopefully this video helped you out. Let me know if you are thinking about purchasing any of these products. Let me know what you like the look of. If you enjoyed this makeup look and you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I love you guys so much. I hope you are having a good day, and if you're not having a good day, I'm sending you virtual pizza and pasta and what else do I love? Banana milkshakes. See you in my next video. Bye. Hey everyone, so today I'm doing a hair and makeup tutorial, and I kind of based it around fall for you guys who are in autumn fall at the moment. The makeup is basically just a super smoky dramatic eyeliner, massive lashes and glossy red lips, and a nice kind of like contoured bronzed cheek. And then the hairstyle I've paired up with this is